Salutations, everybody. It is EJ Spun61 or Emmett Watkins Jr., as most of you know me. I am back and I am here to tell you guys about the new Ariana Grande album that came out a couple weeks ago now, Dangerous Woman. Now, I know it's a little bit weird. I did review or discuss Beyonce's latest album, Lemonade, in the past, and even that is kind of strange for me. I'm heavily a hip hop guy. Slaughterhouse I listen to a lot, Eminem I listen to a lot, Kendrick Lamar. I'm a hardcore rap guy, but there are a handful of artists that make songs in other genres like pop that I just really like. Ariana Grande specifically, I've been a fan of hers since her debut album. I don't know what it is. Actually, I do know what it is about her. Pretty much how I heard her is she had one track on her introductory album called The Way, featuring, I think it was Mac Miller. And I heard that song just on a random summer day. Me and my family were vacationing at the time. I just heard it on the radio. I'm like, oh wow, this is a really cool, different sounding Mariah Carey track. And I listened to the whole track thinking it was a Mariah Carey song. And then at the end, the little radio DJ comes in. He's like, oh, that's that new Ariana Grande, The Way, featuring Mac Miller. And I'm like, holy hell, who's this? And then, that eventually led to me Googling, found some other songs I like. And then I listened to her album all on Spotify. And, the rest is history. I became a fan of hers. She just has a really, really incredible voice, a voice that I think is really hard to match in the pop spectrum. I don't think many people sound like her at all, and those who do aren't beating her by much. She is way up there, even if her music is, in some instances somewhat generic. But I still love her music, and I actually really like this Dangerous Woman album a lot, because it's not as generic as, let's say, My Everything, which was her last album. A lot of that album just felt like, kind of felt empty to me. But this album, I think it improves on a lot of points. Let's go ahead and talk about it. So, with the first track, Moonlight, this song sounds a whole lot like her debut album, Yours Truly. It's got some heavy doo-wop vibes and feels like a 1950s, 60s track, something that you'd hear in the background of a Fallout game, something with those vibes. And this is the perfect track to let her voice just shine through, because like I said, she has an excellent voice, and she just gets to harmonize for much of this track. And this is kind of my favorite type of Ariana Grande song, because it just lets her sing sweet nothings into your ear, so to speak. And it's just a really pleasant song, and I enjoy it. So yeah, that's Moonlight. And on to the title track, which is the second track on the album, Dangerous Woman. Dangerous Woman is a pretty good track. Took some time for me to warm up because it was released as a single before the whole album dropped. But then now I've been listening to it more and more on the actual album. I think it is actually a good track. It's way more sexy sounding than the normal Ariana Grande I'm used to. And honestly, that's totally fine. Like, I actually enjoy her, coming a little bit more out of her shell and becoming more of a, maybe not dangerous, because she's too gosh darn adorable to be dangerous, but becoming more of a woman in her music and such. Even if, I can't necessarily relate to that too much if you're getting all sexy and stuff, because, hey, that's the thing I ain't done. And I'm going to look back on these videos many months or years from now and be like, wow, he sounds stupid because he evaluates everything based on his personal experiences. But oh well, we'll continue. Dangerous Woman, really good track. I appreciate the track. It's just fine. I like how it's changing it up with her, lyrical content. Like I said, way more sexy, way more, provoking in that way. So yeah, that's Dangerous Woman. It's a good track. On to the next track. Be Alright. Now, this is a nice upbeat track, but honestly, lyrically, it's fairly generic. It does give me vibes of Kendrick Lamar's song Alright. And when I say that, it's very, very thin connection there I'm making. Alright is like this really big anthem about black empowerment and police brutality. It has a lot to say about some really, really deep subject matter. But at the end of the day, its baseline message throughout the whole thing is that we're going to be alright despite all the hardships. Now, Be Alright, Ariana Grande's song here, is basically saying that same baseline thing, that we're going to be alright despite all of the, bad things going on around us. but it's not as nuanced. It doesn't have anything deeper to say. Sorry, I got to talk into the mic. It has nothing deeper to say. It's just a nice, just positive track. And to be honest, the instrumental doesn't do too much to help it, stand out. It just feels, it's sweet it's like candy. It's sweet right now, but then it's gone in a couple seconds and you forget you even had candy a couple seconds ago. So it's a fine track. It's just not, the greatest thing in the world. The next track is Into You. I really like this track. It has a really nice thumping type beat, kind of like I want to say house music vibe. Not super duper familiar with house music, but that's just a word that came into my head. Very hard hitting track. Could definitely be a really good club track or something like that. And the build up to the chorus is very, very satisfying on here. And it just reminds me of a track on My Everything, Break Free, featuring Zedd. That song, I really like the instrumental on that song, even though I at first found it quite a bit generic. But the more and more I listened to it, the more it just became, that beat was getting to me at a certain point, and I just got taken away in the groove. And the Into You is pretty much the same case. Very hard hitting track. I could see myself shaking my hair back and forth in the car as I listen to this, and as I change my voice up to something else that sounds different than what I am now. And so yeah, that's Into You. Next track on here is Side to Side. That's the one featuring Nicki Minaj, actually, which, I guess you should see it coming if you think about Bang Bang, her collaboration with Jessie J and Nicki Minaj. Side to Side is a very good track. One of my favorite tracks on the album. Has a funky type groovy vibe. Kind of reminds me of like a little bit of a reggae flavor is in there, or at least it sounds like it. Very fun track. It gives me, really good summer vibes. I feel like I say vibes a lot, but hey, deal with it. Feels like a summer jam. I can definitely see this being played on, like a spring break, or just playing it on the beach because it's summer. So it's just a very good island type feeling that this song I should say gives me. And then Nicki Minaj's contribution to the track, it's pretty good. She has like a clever line or two, but I kind of wish her verse was longer. I'm used to a lot of these guest verses being longer just because I am a fan of rap first and foremost, so I'm gonna want the rap to be front and center. But it was unoffensive, her contribution on that song, so I'll let it slide. And the song sounds great overall, so I'm not gonna cry about it. Let Me Love You. This is the track with Lil Wayne on it. I was really, really surprised to see Lil Wayne on an Ariana Grande album. But I gotta admit, this song kind of makes it work. First off, the instrumental is very, very chill, very, very relaxed, kind of muted. And the overall tone of the track, at least lyrically and whatnot, it kind of is like that, I was in a relationship, but now I'm single, and I'm gonna get out here, and I'm gonna just have some fun. If I have some fun, I'm gonna fuck around, which is totally fine. You do you, girl. And I wasn't really expecting something like that from Ariana Grande. Like most people know, Ariana Grande is the kind, sweet, innocent girl that everyone just looks at as, she's the Nickelodeon kid. She's not hoeing around. Oh, I shouldn't say hoeing around. That could be the meaning. Ignore that. So yeah, she's not gonna be doing that, but no, she made a song pretty much talking about doing that, and it's a really good song. And Lil Wayne fits well in the track as well. He has a clever line or two. I really like the line about she's single and I'm her feature. I thought that was, some say it's corny. I just think it's kind of clever. And yeah, he fits well on this track. And then they kind of do a little back and forth, slight harmonization type thing at the end of the track, which I thought was a little unsettling. Just thinking of Lil Wayne with Ariana Grande, that just sounds but musically and sonically, it sounds great, and I enjoy the song overall. So good for Ariana. Our little girl's growing up. And on to the next track, Greedy. This is by far the funkiest track on the album, funkier than even Side to Side with Nicki Minaj. This is just a good groove to get everybody going. Feels very Bruno Marsy, reminds me of Uptown Funk and Treasure. It's just something that makes you rock back and forth in your seat or in your feet, wherever you're doing that. Put that on my grave. That's a quote. Yeah, it's just such a great sounding track, and I can imagine the music video right now, just very Uptown Funk-esque in that it's just, when I think of the Uptown Funk music video, everybody dancing all around town, everyone's having a good time. I can imagine that same type of scene with this song. I don't know if that means it's a little bit less original because of that, but I'm not going to be super offended by it because I really enjoy how it sounds. And the whole greedy for love thing, kind of the typical Ariana Grande fare lyrically, but it is such a good sounding track that I can't help but focus on that, and all of its other weaknesses are just going to drain out. So yeah, Greedy, very good track, very, very good track. Leave Me Lonely is another track I was kind of surprised to see on here, mainly because it had a Macy Gray feature. Now, when I think Ariana Grande, I could see the Lil Wayne collaboration happening a little bit sooner than Macy Gray, because Lil Wayne, they kind of run in the same audiences. They kind of have the same audiences. Macy Gray caught me completely by surprise when I saw her on this album, and I did not know how that was going to be. I had a feeling they were just going to clash and that was just going to be some weird experiment, but no, Leave Me Lonely is actually, I'm going to go ahead and say it, probably my favorite track on the album. Greedy I do love a lot, but Leave Me Lonely just feels like a masterpiece. It is actually surprisingly dark and is very, monotone in its mood, or I shouldn't say monotone, brooding is a better word. Very brooding in its tone, and it's just really sad about how if you're gonna go treating me this way, then you might as well just leave me lonely, as the title would say. And it is such a good track because of that. Similar doo-wop vibes, just like the first track Moonlight and a lot of the tracks on her first album, but it's way more somber. It's not the Moonlight Bay, look at all the pretty things around, you're my baby, we're sitting here enjoying life as an American couple and all that crap. This one is so much more, it just feels devastating. Like, it just feels real sad, and I like where Ariana Grande is going with that track. It just feels somber, but it feels satisfyingly somber, and it just feels really epic in its instrumentation and all that. It's just a good track. Holy hell, Leave Me Lonely surprised me with that Macy Gray feature. Macy Gray fits on here well. I gotta love her voice as well. It's great seeing them both on the track, and it's great seeing that it came out so well. Then you got Every Day. Every Day is a good song. Future's on it, and if you saw my video about Chance the Rapper's latest album, or I should say latest mixtape, Coloring Book, I'm not the biggest Future fan, but Future on here, he's actually coming off in a different way that I wasn't expecting him to be on. Even though he has a certain type of trap stylings, he didn't come with that too much on this track. This is way more of a typical pop song. Future actually sounds more akin to a Fetty Wap or something, if you're thinking like the Trap Queen type sound. That's what Future's going for here, and he does have a little bit of a verse near the end, but it's very brief and it doesn't really detract from the song much. And I like how Future was implemented. The song didn't change for Future changed for the song, which I appreciated. That makes me like the song a little bit more, and it doesn't make me feel like Future's dragging it down, even though Future makes good music. He's just not my favorite. And this is a very, very sexually explicit track. And, she's been talking sexy in all these songs and the rest of the album. But this one, she's like, you giving me that good shit that make me not quit. But, if you listen closely, to me it sounds like good shit that make her nut quick, which sounds a little bit more on the nose. But it's still a good track. It's very catchy, like I said, very poppy. And I enjoy it. I enjoy Ariana Grande being more comfortable and out there with her sexuality. You do you, girl. As long as you're confident, whatever the hell goes, girl. And sometimes, very nice track. Feels similar to Be Alright, where it seems like it's a nice sounding track. You listen to it and you're like, oh, it's not bad. I wouldn't skip this if it was on, but I don't think I'd ask for it specifically. But it kind of feels a little bit more substantial. Sounds like on the la 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 la, on that part, kind of sounds like The Dream. I don't know if The Dream has any credits on this song. I wasn't able to find anything in my minimal research, but yeah, very pleasant sounding track overall. Very chill track. Very just, when I say low point, I don't mean low point as in the song's terrible, just low point tonally as it brings down everything a little bit, especially after Every Day, which was a really hype track. Sometimes just brings it to a more chill point. And I enjoy the track overall. Don't think I'd be like, oh man, that was your favorite track on the album, because I'm clearly not saying that now. But I definitely, like I said, if it comes on, I'd be like, oh, that's nice. Anyway, I Don't Care feels like a very First off, very minimalistic track. Just uses some more basic instruments, kind of like orchestra-esque instruments. Reminds me of like early 2000s Alicia Keys and like 4 era Beyonce off of her 4 album. Just very in the instrumentals, it's using a lot of like traditional horns and traditional like symphony instruments and such. And I really like that sound. I think Ariana Grande could go pretty far with that sound, considering she's been doing a lot of more traditional pop. I think using more of those instruments and such would be a nice switch up for her. And doing it in this song, I Don't Care, feels very good. So, I'd like to see where she could go. And I do think it's kind of ironic that this kind of sounds like an early 2000s Alicia Keys song, and then Alicia Keys' latest song, In Common, low-key kind of sounds like a generic pop song that like could have been on Ariana Grande's last album. But hey, I ain't gonna throw no shade because I like Alicia Keys, so I ain't gonna mess with her right now. She good. Anyway, next track, Bad Decisions. Very heavy bass. Feels much more like a club track, similar to Into You. It's justifying the album title with the whole dangerous woman thing, and it's like, oh boy, you made me want to do Bad Decision. You made me want to act up. But yeah, it's kind of weird. There's some weird censoring on this track, as well as throughout the rest of the album, where at the end of the track she says, you ain't never seen a princess be a bad bitch. I think that's a really clever line, first off, but they cut out the bitch. I'm like, why? I mean, we know what she's saying. Why are you cutting it out? I understand Ariana Grande has very big, mainstream, there's the word, appeal. But, why are you going to cut out the words? Like, just make a clean version and an explicit version. I don't get it. Yeah, they censor a lot of Lil Wayne's parts too, but it's fine. I do like Bad Decisions overall. But like I said, sounds more like a traditional pop song, even if I do like it quite a bit. Sounds more traditional. Touch It is another track. More sexual lyrics, of course. It's Touch It, connect the dots. And it's another clubbish type track in the same vein as the previous track, Bad Decisions and Into You. It's just not, doesn't stick out too much. I do really love the aggressive hi-hat drums at the beginning and end of the chorus, where it's like, decent track overall. I did that hi-hat so awfully. Decent track overall, but not really a highlight on the album for me. And then you have New Better / Forever Boy. Now I do like the fact that for Ariana Grande, this idea is kind of, innovative. She's putting 2 tracks on the same track, so to speak. There's like 2 halves to it, and I think that's kind of new for her, and shows she's actually trying to tell a little bit of a story with her music, which, I'm not completely used to in her previous albums. I do like the addition of that here. They're very different tonally. The beginning has a very low, more cool and relaxed opening, and the second half is more upbeat and then feels more like like I said, Touch It and Bad Decisions and Into You. Feels a lot more like those tracks where it's a little bit more up hype and stuff, club track type thing, and has a lighter feel, almost reggae feel to this one too. Not quite to the extent of something like Side to Side, but you can feel a little bit of reggae tones in there. And then the end track, Thinking About You. Very epic feeling track, and it's a fitting end to the album, and has very heavy, not very heavy bass, not as heavy bass as some of the other tracks in the album, but it kind of feels like, in a movie trailer when you're watching, and then everything ramps up right at the end, and then everybody's just, ninja swords are swinging up, and then things are getting revealed and stuff, and then they cut, and then they show when the music stops, and like they show the title. It kind of feels like that, the feeling I'm getting from the song at least. And it's just a really good track, and then it ends the album on a nice high note, a nice pleasant high note, especially with the low lows of something like Leave Me Lonely, and the higher highs of something like Greedy. It's a nice, pretty consistent end to the album. So overall, I enjoy the album quite a bit. I'm listening to it a lot. Like I said, with all those club tracks, and for as good as I think they are, they do kind of blend in to a certain degree. But I enjoy the album as a whole, and Ariana Grande, she's changing quite a bit. She's becoming more sexy. She's becoming more of a woman, maybe even a dangerous woman. You're too cute to be dangerous, but it's okay, whatever you gonna want. So yeah, I'm looking forward to what she does next, and I'm probably gonna be behind her in whatever she does, because I'm on board this fan train now. So yeah, that's it for this video. I will see you guys next time I want to talk about music, or you can go watch my Life Strange Let's Play, or you can go watch whatever the hell else I'm making. on this channel. So yeah, y'all have a nice day and keep it trill. And you make me want to do bad decisions. Shit, that's not the lyrics. Oh well, have a good day.